Right, guys, so I've clicked the stream button. We should be live. There's always like a second or two until it kind of pops up. So for the benefit of everyone watching, I'm here with the 0xBitcoin team. Jeff, Mikers, and George, thanks for coming on. So I'll just get everything set up.
All right, thank you. Yeah, thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, no problem at all. I mean, you guys have got a very interesting project. I mean, I did a video a few months ago, and I think the title of the video was something like 0xBitcoin, the first mineable Ethereum token. And I don't know, has there been anyone else who's copied you guys? It was quite, you guys were quite ahead of the curve, especially as tokens go.
Yeah, even from really early, there was, there's been a number of copies. Even recently, there's a mineable token on Ethereum Classic, which is awesome. And that's kind of the idea, is that there's a standard for how to write mineable tokens, and we help put that through. And it's really just, you can go into Etherscan and click the 0xBitcoin contract and copy the code, and then go into Remix or any other Ethereum editor, paste the code, and deploy your own. And we're actually working on setting up some bounties to have a community-created just mineable token generator, which we think is going to be really cool and really easy. Make it clear what the concept is behind a mineable token, and yeah, just kind of make it easier to create more mineable tokens. So,
I think that's interesting, just what you're saying there, the concept of it, because most miners aren't really mining tokens. They're mining, you know, they're not mining Ethereum tokens, they're mining cryptocurrencies. So, I mean, I guess from a marketing point of view, I guess you just need to convince miners that you have a project that they can get involved in.
Yeah, it's all very new. I think of it sometimes as a second layer mineable token, in the same way that the Lightning Network or the network on top of Ethereum are kind of like second layer exchanging mechanisms. This is like, you have this network that's securing your transactions. So you have the Ethereum network, and then you can create on top of it, using the security of the Ethereum network, additional mining currencies, mining tokens, mineable coins that don't have the security issues that, say, Bitcoin Gold has, or any other newly set up mineable token that doesn't have the same proof of work securing it, or proof of stake securing it, like Bitcoin does, or like Ethereum does. And if you even compare Bitcoin to Bitcoin Cash, there's about 10 times the hash rate between the two, or 8 times, or 6 times, or some fairly large multiple. So if you're looking for the security, Bitcoin and Ethereum, and the last time I checked these numbers, are within 1 or 2, a factor of 2 of each other. So the security of Ethereum is within half of the security of Bitcoin. And so if you think about wanting to create your own mineable currency, and there's thousands of them, and you can look at CoinMarketCap, and there's probably tens of thousands of minables that aren't even on CoinMarketCap. If you look at the security of all of those, and look at kind of order them by security, you'll see Bitcoin, you'll see Ethereum, then you'll see all the ERC-918 mineable tokens, of which 0xBitcoin is one, of which there's 0x Litecoin, 0x Gold. So those are kind of right up there with Ethereum in terms of the security. And then under that, down a bunch, you see Bitcoin Cash. So if you're interested in creating a mineable coin, and also interested in security, which you should be if you're interested in cryptocurrencies, it becomes a really compelling and interesting alternative to launching your own purely mineable coin, is to create a mineable token, which is using the security of the Ethereum network.
Yeah, so it saves a lot of, well, does that save you guys a lot of development or a lot of issues that a lot of other coins have to face as far as security goes in?
I was going to say, you don't get the, you don't have to worry about the 51% attack, you know, because any benefit you get from the security that Ethereum has, 0xBitcoin also has. And, you know, any updates that come on Ethereum, you know, it also applies to any ERC or 918 token as well. So, you know, it's a lot of people have, I think a lot of people don't fully really understand what difference between, you know, these token contracts or even how to read through them. And I'm speaking from experience because I was definitely one of them until I actually started learning about it. And, you know, a lot of these tokens, people are using them and thinking of them as real, true cryptocurrencies. And the fact of the matter is, you know, they're just, a lot of them are good projects, but they're not a good currency. And so that's what 0xBitcoin, you know, is trying to do. It's pretty much you're having the currency aspects that Bitcoin has, but with the security and the features of Ethereum.
It's interesting.
Go ahead, George.
I certainly don't speak for everybody, but we are all pretty bullish on Ethereum, the Ethereum network, the Ethereum ecosystem. Frankly, I think it deserves a currency within itself. 0xBitcoin is the first truly working mineable currency inside the Ethereum ecosystem. And Ethereum itself deserves it. Like he said, you know, there are no other currencies, nothing else that you put in work to get an asset back. Everything else is kind of just made up, put out there, and people have done their best before this to get fair distribution, but humans are fallible, math is not. The contract is there, and the distribution, I think, is using proof of work. There's no better way to do it right now.
Well, that's something me and Jeff talked about the other day, where most Ethereum tokens, they just create all the currency, as you see, out of thin air. There's nothing, you know, there's no work being done to set it up. But just to go back to what you touched upon there, George, you were saying I don't speak for everyone, and I think this is something we need to clarify. I did a video recently. I was talking about, you know, talking to teams and all that, and Jeff was stressing the fact that there isn't a team per se. You know, there's just people who contribute to the community. It's the same way as Bitcoin. There isn't a hierarchy. There isn't a structure as such as you would associate with a normal cryptocurrency. And I think that, you know, I think when anyone talks about 0xBitcoin, you have to stress that fact. You know I talked about this at great length with Jeff, and he kept stressing the point. Listen, everyone's just chipping in. There isn't, like, you know, a leader or, you know, someone organizing everything. That is very, very different for a start, you know, compared to all the other tokens out there.
That's true. The contract creator, he created the contract, created 0xBitcoin on Ethereum, and as soon as he was done testing on the testnet, he released it, and the contract has been locked. We've seen every facet of the contract work so far. We've seen difficulty adjustments up and down. The contract is, as far as anyone knows, is secure. And one of the beautiful things about it is it's simple. Almost anyone can go in and read the contract and see what it is. There was no ICO. There was no pre-mine. As far as teams go, I would say that the three of us are on the same team, same side. We all have some workings with the 0xBitcoin Foundation. But to say that this project has a lead developer or a development team behind it, I'm not sure if you can say that anymore, because it's done. The project is done. It's out there. Anyone can grab it and go. We just need to build around it. The core is there. Now we just need implementation and use. But yeah, we don't have to worry about anyone leaving. You know, someone can stop working on it, and that's fine. miners can stop mining it and the token still works just like it did yesterday. So it's really neat how it works.
Like from my point of view, because I mean, I think most miners were used to mining and investing in a particular type of coin, and it does take a while to get your head around this. Like just like what you were saying before, you know, you're on the Ethereum network, so one of the main tasks that any team face is security, and they're working on, I don't know if it's nodes or it's, you know, working on code all the time. You guys don't have to spend time working, you know, focusing on that. So as a team, what is your main focus now that the coin is out there? Is it marketing? Is it use? Is it, you know, just spreading the word?
Mikers, you should touch on merge mining.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Kevin. And that is a great question. And that's what's really cool to me and got me first interested about 0xBitcoin is I was starting to learn about Ethereum, and I went through some tutorials, and I went through the Crypto Zombies Solidity tutorial, and I've suggested people do that, and on like the Crypto Dev Reddit and Crypto Dev /r/Crypto Devs, shout out, and gotten some great feedback on the Crypto Zombies tutorial from the Loom network. And I was doing that, and I was working on building actually a job board that's hosted on an Ethereum smart contract, kind of still on the back burner and still building that out. And the idea is that it's decentralized, the job postings can be stored on the Ethereum network, and you don't have to worry about servers. So to your question, Kevin, about 0xBitcoin, compared to other coins, compared to other standalone currencies, if you look at the Bitcoin gold double spend attack that hit an exchange recently for tens of millions of dollars, or $50 million.
I think it was the end of May, I think, and then I think there might be one of Zencash a few weeks later, I think, as well.
Yeah, and they're just going to keep coming because there's an ecosystem around buying HashPower through NiceHash or through whatever it is. There's all these GPUs out there that are doing this work, and they're accessible. And so by being on the Ethereum network, we're fully secured by the Ethereum network. You really can't, to hack 0xBitcoin, you'd have to fully control the Ethereum network, which is just almost as hard as controlling Bitcoin. So that security is there. And we as a team don't really have to do work on that sense to make sure that there aren't double spends. We don't have to, the Ethereum network and the Ethereum Foundation is putting all that forward for us. Which is great. We're standing on the shoulders of giants, and I personally think the Ethereum network is amazing, and I'm somewhat of an Ethereum maximalist, and I'd love to continue to see it evolve. And as we look at kind of the economics of Ethereum, there's this incentive for the Ethereum network to have the price of Ethereum be as low as possible, because Ethereum itself is a currency or is a commodity used for gas on the Ethereum network. So when you transfer tokens, when you transfer 0xBitcoin, when you mine 0xBitcoin, when you post a job post on a dApp that's hosted on an Ethereum smart contract, you're paying all the miners in Ethereum to create that computation, to verify that that computation is correct, and to store the results of that computation on their full nodes. And so to use the Ethereum network, it's within the Ethereum Foundation's goal, in a sense, in a way, and I'm not the end all be all to speak on behalf of them, but my understanding is that if the Ethereum price is lower, then it costs less to do computation, it costs less to trade your CryptoKitty, it costs less to sell your CryptoKitty. So there's interesting incentives there on the Ethereum network, and I've been to meetups and heard some amazing Ethereum core developers talk about the work that they're doing for proof of stake and sharding, all in an attempt to make transactions on the Ethereum network as inexpensive as possible. They want it to be near free for you to trade tokens, for you to mine tokens, for you to make transactions on the Ethereum network. And there's been even quotes, I think, from Vitalik about a perfect currency being an ERC20, just like 0xBitcoin is. And there's other great currencies on the Ethereum network. There's True USD, which seems reasonable. it requires some trust. There's audits that you can actually exchange these for US dollars. 0xBitcoin is fully trustless. You know that each one 0xBitcoin represents about a day's worth of work at the moment for a 1080 Ti GPU. So the importance of scarcity, which is very important in value, is there and is created by the 0xBitcoin contract, and the math is all just there. And so when it comes to what we're doing and what's kind of left, in a sense, of the fact that we're standing on the shoulders of giants, in the sense that the Ethereum ecosystem is improving day to day, and we're benefiting from that. And there's more DEXs that are including 0xBitcoin. There's more real-time ways of trading 0xBitcoin for other goods. There's shops that are spinning up that are using these tools, of which 0xBitcoin is one of the current cryptocurrency options. And so part of the ecosystem is just building out for us. What we're doing internally is things like spreading awareness around mineable tokens, and creating different tools around that. But the big goal, and why a lot of us like 0xBitcoin, is being against ICOs and being against very fraudulent latent ICOs, in the sense that people create a token out of thin air and can potentially lie about how much money they're taking in, or can create weird incentives around doing that ICO distribution, or may be very far along from actually delivering on a product. So what I saw early as a possibility for 0xBitcoin, and have since now, there's been two mineable tokens that are merge mineable with 0xBitcoin. 0x Litecoin, which was created by me and was as much a proof of concept, and just I wanted to have an example. And then more recently, there's a token called 0x Gold, which just launched in the last week. And about 2 days ago, I launched on my token mining pool. And so the idea here is that there's a developer who wants to create an ecosystem around a token, and wants to create a gaming platform, and wants his token or her token to be usable for this platform. So instead of creating a smart contract where you can buy this token himself and he takes all the funds, or she, it's a mineable token, but without distracting away from 0xBitcoin, which already has an ecosystem of active miners. It's merge mineable with 0xBitcoin. And so merge mining is...
So what's that merge mining? I was going to say, that's not a term I've heard, and I think a lot of people watching this might have not have heard that term before.
Yeah, that's a great question, Kevin. So there's a lot of tokens that are merge mineable, and Dogecoin is one of the prime examples that comes to mind, and is, I think, kind of one of the most famous examples and well-known coins. And so Dogecoin is an scrypt mineable token that's merge mined with Litecoin. And so what that means is that Dogecoin, the Dogecoin network has its own difficulty, its own hash power associated with it. And so each time a new block is minted, there are there's both a proof of work and a Merkle tree of all the transfers that are happening. And so trying to stay out of the swamp of too much technical detail, when someone's mining Litecoin, they can choose to just mine Litecoin, or they can choose to mine Litecoin and mine Dogecoin.
Right.
So Dogecoin configured itself in a way that says, I'd like to invite Litecoin miners to also mine Dogecoin. So with 0x Litecoin and 0x Gold and hopefully hundreds more down the road, and it's an open standard, And if anyone wants to launch their own merge mineable token, I'm happy to help them do that. What they can do is create their new mineable token, but also add a function to it that says that if someone is mining 0xBitcoin, I like to acknowledge that in a special way. And when someone mints 0xBitcoin, also mint a block of this new token.
How does that affect? I don't know if I'm maybe not catching this 100%, but like from a mining point of view, if I'm mining 0xBitcoin, does it change anything if I mine 0xBitcoin and something else? Like
No.
I'm bringing back to something like Joe Claymore, where you
That's
mine two different coins like Pascal or Sia. You know, I think perhaps one of the criticisms of 0xBitcoin is that it's more of a criticism of myself. It's just that a lot of people don't have experience of mining an Ethereum token. So there's a few things which maybe some people aren't sure of. One of the, just a very basic thing is that if people are used to mining, say, an Equihash coin or something else like that, normally you just send a coin and you send it back. But to go back to what you were saying earlier, if I think when I downloaded 0xBitcoin when I was mining it, I downloaded Trust Wallet, and when you download a wallet like that, in order to send 0xBitcoin, you need to have Ethereum on it to pay what they call gas, but that's a fee. So people need to, if they're holding 0xBitcoin, they need to have Ethereum as well in their account. That's just, it's a kind of basic thing, but just to clarify that, because when I first got introduced to 0xBitcoin, I hadn't used tokens before. From a mining point of view then, if someone is going to mine 0xBitcoin and there's all these other tokens, how does that work? Can they, how does it work? For example, say I want to mine 0x Litecoin. Can I mine that on its own, or do I do it with 0xBitcoin?
Yeah,
maybe
so
being an
I
idiot.
think there's about 3 questions in there, and let's get to them all. So, can you mine 0x Litecoin, or would you mine 0x Litecoin and 0x Bitcoin? Yeah, and what are the overall economic incentives for merge mining, and how does that affect miners, and how do you transfer 0xBitcoin? Because
there seems to be a few different options. I mean, obviously, the example I've got in my brain that I'm kind of drawing a comparison to is like when you mined Ethereum, you could also mine, was it Sia? There was a few other ones like Pascal, we're not using Joe Claymore. But when you did that, it was basically because your GPU could handle mining another coin like that.
Right.
Right. But I don't know if
so that's called dual mining.
Yeah, that's dual mining.
So we're falling into kind of a fun world of technical things. So dual mining is different.
Yeah, that's mining.
And as a GPU miner dev, we're working to add dual mining to 0xBitcoin, and kind of long-term goal would be to have an efficient miner that can simultaneously mine Ethereum with 0xBitcoin.
Oh, that's very interesting.
And the idea there is that when you're mining Equihash or Ethereum, your graphics card is doing both compute heavy work, and that's the actual hash itself, and then it's also doing memory heavy work. So it's looking into that directed acyclic graph and finding out from the hashes that it's pulling things around. So the idea with dual mining is that while you're doing memory heavy work, let's also throw in some compute heavy work in addition. So you can do, with Equihash mining, you can dual mine, I think, Decred or Ethereum and Decred together. So that's something that isn't happening currently with 0xBitcoin. We think and other open source 0xBitcoin GPU miners are working towards that. But stepping back to the dual mining question, the way that dual mining works is, merge mining works.
Yeah. I'm confusing
is that there's a little bit of a tongue twister. We need like a bulletin board with strings going back and forth to kind of keep track of it all. But with merge mining, essentially what that is that you have your highest difficulty coin or token, and Namecoin is an old mineable that was merged mined with Bitcoin. So there's another kind of history back there. But the idea is that you have your 0xBitcoin block, and you can kind of, it's kind of like you're checking out at like a store or something like that, or you're at a carnival and you're turning in your tickets. But the idea is that once you have a full block of 0xBitcoin, because that minting happens in an Ethereum transaction, within that Ethereum transaction, we can go over to 0x Litecoin and say, hey, I just mined a block of 0xBitcoin. Here's the proof. Here's the hash. Here's all the work. Can we act as if I also solo mined 0x Litecoin? And can we also go to 0x Gold? And can we also go to Kevin's token and act as if I solo mined your token, because you know that I solo mined this 0x Bitcoin and I'm saying these magic words in this Ethereum smart contract
rather than validating,
that also unlocks these things.
So rather than validate one block for one token, you're doing it for multiple tokens, essentially. Those other tokens, will they always be tied to 0xBitcoin, as in they'll grow at the same rate? Obviously, you started a few months before these other tokens, but if they started now, you know, if there's just like talking, say, if there's 1,000 new 0xBitcoin per day, there'd be, you know, 1,000 times, well, whatever the ratio was that they had. But if there was 1,000 block rewards, 1,000 blocks, they would have 1,000 blocks as well, and it'd be tied to.
Yeah, and it's all programmable. So within the 0x Litecoin, within the 0x Gold smart contract, you can specify what you want that ratio to be, and it could be a random number based on a multiple.
Very interesting. I'd never heard of that before.
It could be a lot of fun things. Yeah, and so 0x Litecoin is 4x, and 0x Gold is 16/50th. Just whatever ratio you kind of want.
They can adjust their max supply.
It's for 0x Gold. I think right now is for every 1 0x Bitcoin you mine, you get 0.25 0x Gold, and then for 0x Litecoin, you get 4 0x Litecoin for every 1 0x Bitcoin.
Right. So one's a quarter, one's like 4
So
times.
from a financial incentive, it's just, especially if these, so like right now, 0x Litecoin, like Mike said, he knows a proof, like kind of a proof of concept when he released, you know, and so it's not really trading on, I mean, it's on enclaves, but it doesn't have very many buy and sell orders on there. And so mainly it's just people are hodling it right now. But if these other tokens do get released, like merge mining, you know, for a financial incentive, it's a lot like dual mining without having to put the extra work on your rig or your GPUs.
But how does it work? That really makes sense as far as, you know, the block reward and you saying, well, I'm going to have some of that. But say I'm mining 0x Bitcoin, will I automatically get 4 times the Litecoin and, you know, 25% of the gold? Is it automatic? Do I have to download a new wallet? You know,
it's automatic. It's automatic if the pool allows it. Like if the pool that you're mining on has it programmed into, like Miker's pool. His pool is, you know, this is kind of his brainchild. So his pool is obviously the first pool that is using it. And so if the pool has that programmed onto it, then you don't have to do anything extra. You just mine it, and it will automatically be paid out when you get paid out in 0x Bitcoin. And
it just goes into, like, for example, your Trust wallet?
Yeah, your Ethereum address, yeah.
All right, okay. So you, in theory, you could get it that if someone's mining Ethereum, they could also get 0x Bitcoin, 0x Litecoin, 0x Gold, and all these other tokens.
Yeah, if we get dual mining in the Ethereum miner.
So that's dual mining, merge mining.
Yep.
No, that's a very interesting concept. I'd never. I mean, obviously it's happened in the past. I didn't know about that though.
Well, and there was an article, Infernal Toast, who was the 0x Bitcoin contract deployer. He released a Medium article, and he talked about, you know, he talked about IMOs, their initial mining offerings. And I definitely could see a world where using merged mining and releasing initial mining offerings connected to 0x Bitcoin, using merged mining could be a thing one day, you know, on a larger scale.
I think from a marketing point of view as well, there'll be a lot of benefits, because like you're talking about the benefits of being on the Ethereum network, but someone can almost piggyback off your success as well. If you look, if you look at many cryptocurrencies that have forked, they've picked, well, the most popular one this year is Z Classic, which is, you know, all these hype coins on it. But if you fork from a coin like that and you say, hey, we're going to give you 1-to-1 or whatever the ratio is, or even look at some of the Monero forks, one of the reasons they're doing that is because you can automatically generate a lot of interest, because a lot of people that have got the original coin will now get the new coin, and you can form a community very quickly in comparison to doing it from scratch. So I can see the attraction. I can see why a lot of people would want to build tokens. And, you know, is there any limit to how many tokens could be mined on top of 0xBitcoin? Could it be, you know, dozens, hundreds?
Yeah, there could be hundreds, and the limit is actually related to the mint has to fit in an Ethereum block.
Right.
So an 0xBitcoin mint can fill up an Ethereum block, and if you do the work there, it's easily hundreds of tokens could be merge mined with 0xBitcoin.
Do those tokens, do they have their own contract, but it's just the block reward that's tied to you?
Yeah. So each, if there are hundreds, and now there's two, but if there are hundreds, each of those would have their own smart contract. They could be solo mineable, and the block difficulty, the mining difficulty. So the mining difficulty of 0x Litecoin is actually, when I deployed it, I made it the same mining difficulty as 0x Bitcoin.
Right.
So there's actually really the only time that an 0x Litecoin has been created has been through merge mining, because
Right.
why would you want to do all this work to mint the block and not also get 0x Bitcoin, which is trading on an exchange and has value.
You'd be mining for one coin instead of two. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why I created it. It's meant to be mostly merge mineable, and it's kind of a standard for merge mining. And then 0x Gold is created newer and by a developer I've just chatted with over Discord, and the difficulty there is much lower. So there's also people solo mining it, and there's also now 0x Bitcoin miners merge mining it. So there's a lot of different possibilities, but 0x Gold, 0x Litecoin, they're their own ERC20 and ERC918. They're both of those standards are met through their smart contracts, and they're deployed by a developer or by soon anyone. We're working on creating a wizard where you can type in the name of your contract, check a box for if you want it to be merge mineable or not, deploy it, create your own mineable token essentially. And it's its own smart contract, and it will have a method for merge mining, and separately a method for minting, and a method for transferring, and a method for every other ERC20 compatible token. And that's kind of how that all works.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, I think the hardest thing for you guys is to actually, get that out there and expose it to people and explain how all that works. I can definitely see a lot of potential on that, though. I mean, against, you know, I suspect that in theory, those tokens, could they, if they've got a separate smart contract, could they tie themselves to a different token down the line if they wanted to? Is that, not that, you know, the way it works right now, it's all tied to 0x Bitcoin.
So what you could do is, and there's also another mineable token and a community around it called Scorch. And what they've done a few times is actually essentially do a hard fork. And so what they've essentially done is, so if you have a new mineable token, the Kevin's first mineable token contract, and you see that you want to create a new ecosystem or a new contract, what you can do is create that new contract, and essentially with that new token, just airdrop it one for one to all the old holders of that token. So that's one way that you could do it, because it's all on Ethereum. So it's, as a developer, as someone who's launching that token, it's pretty straightforward to just do that, to in a way pre-mine and airdrop, but specifically to the holders of the old token. You could create your own 0x Bitcoin sort of clone, and create it where I think there's approximately 3 million 0x Bitcoin that have been created so far. So you could create a new contract. On that new contract, 0xBitcoin 2, let's say, pre-allocate 3 million 0xBitcoin 2 tokens, say to yourself, and then airdrop it, or in the initialization of the contract, do this and airdrop it to all the holders of 0xBitcoin. And now you have 0xBitcoin 2 that all the old community members hold in equal amounts. And it's its own thing, and you can code it up differently. Maybe it's not mineable, or maybe it's mineable through a different proof of work, or anything kind of like that. And then also all the old 0xBitcoin miners, at the very least, would now have this token through the way that
yeah, that's
you
what I was going to say, because
it.
almost like any token that comes on, or any coin that comes on and launches on 0xBitcoin, you can almost use it like a launch pad to, you know, and you know, from a miner's point of view, people will just be looking at, wow, I'm going to get free coins for all these new tokens. That's actually quite a very good selling point. I'm not saying you guys want to go down the hype route, but
no, that's cool. I think that's interesting, Kevin, for sure. And what you could do is combine all these concepts together, is create your new ecosystem, your new token for your new ecosystem, essentially airdrop it to previous 0xBitcoin holders, and also make it merge mineable, so that all of the 0xBitcoin miners, they are going to keep mining it. They're going to get it from whatever pool they join, and also now have a bunch. So as far as marketing goes, it's piggybacking on the trustless distribution of 0xBitcoin. It's paying kind of miners in a way of marketing, or of kind of distributing.
Well, the thing is as well, it's also, the growth is going to be steady as well. I mean, I think looking from the outside, I don't have a huge amount of experience, but a lot of these smart tokens over the last year with Ethereum, they've all been like, you know, they've just airdrops, or they've like huge ICOs where they're taking in a lot of money, and a lot of them are scams. But it's a kind of a shame, because there's so many legit projects and, you know, out there as well. But you guys have went a completely different direction. To go back to what you were saying earlier on, you kind of touched upon it. I don't know if people know this. I did a video the other week. I was talking about this with Jeff, and the person that started, was it Infernal Toast that started the contract, the smart contract? I was going to do an interview with him, but you guys know I've recently been sick of scams and things like that, so I thought I wanted to talk to people up front. And Infernal wants to remain anonymous, which is 100% is fine for it. And this is when I started speaking to Jeff, and he had to convince me, like, listen, this isn't like a regular project where you've got the team, you know, members and all that. Anyone can contribute. But it's a shame, you know. Hopefully I'll speak to Inferno in the future. But I think one of the things that attracted me to 0xBitcoin is I think we share a lot of the same values, because you talked about there's no pre-mine, there's no ICO, you know, there's no scams or pump and dump or anything like that. It's all community driven. And I've seen a lot of other coins saying that they're community driven whilst having a mega pre-mine or pre-selling masternodes, or, you know, an ICO or anything like that. So yeah, you know, I think Infernal Toast has come out and actually criticised a lot of other people who, I think you were saying, Jeff, there was a video that goes through every single one of these smart tokens, and he went through
a couple of them, yeah, and he was just going through the code, you know, and saying, hey, this is this little line of code, this is what this, you know, the tokens were deployed to, you know, this one address or multiple addresses, who knows, it's anonymous. And he was just kind of saying, but then he also reiterated that, you know, like, he's not saying that these projects are crap. He's saying that these tokens being used as a cryptocurrency, as a real currency, it would be crap, you know, just in general, because, you know, they're just because the project, even if the project is good, doesn't mean that the token is a good currency, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a security, you know. You buy into it as a hope that the project will do really well, and that token could be worth more. So it's like you're buying a stock.
I mean, this is one of the reservations everyone has about new projects. Is, I mean, you can write anything on a roadmap, or you can write anything on a website. It doesn't mean that you're going to follow through. No, I was quite impressed with, you know, the fact that Infernal Toast was calling out a lot of scammers and things like that. I was with regards to you guys being a community coin, if I look at your website and down the bottom, you've got a list saying that you're listed on Enclaves, Mercatox, IDEX, Fork Delta. Are these all decentralized exchanges? All these ones? I think they are.
Yeah, Mercatox is centralized.
Oh, is Mercatox centralized?
Yeah, and then the others are, yeah, the others are, yeah, IDEX, go ahead, George. I'm not.
Yeah, IDEX is a decentralized exchange, but they do have a lot of their back end on a centralized exchange or on a centralized server. So I think what you're seeing forward facing is decentralized, but a lot of the work is done and storage is done in a centralized way. So it's they've done their best to make there are certain limitations to a decentralized exchange, and if you go on enclaves, that is kind of what you get right now out of a decentralized exchange. To speed things up and to add a little more security, or do their best adding security with speed and interface, there are trade-offs. So it's not fully decentralized, but it is considered a decentralized exchange.
Well, from a, you guys being a community coin, and we've talked about how you guys are kind of, using the advantage of the Ethereum network for security. You've got that behind you. You're piggybacking off, or whatever you want to call it. But one of the things that any project has to do is get on exchanges, which is expensive. And the world of exchanges is, well, there's some good exchanges out there, but there's a lot of backhanders, and they're asking for a huge amount of money. I think Binance recently came out and said, well, someone said it was 400 Bitcoin, and then they denied it and said it wasn't that. But how does a community like 0xBitcoin tackle, new exchanges and getting listed when you don't have a pre-mine, when you don't pre-sell masternodes, when you don't have an ICO, when everything is
not easy,
community driven? This could be, and this, obviously there are advantages. As much as I criticize ICOs and I don't want to get near them, these guys have got millions in the banks that that make exchange listings very easy because it's they've got so much money there. So how have you guys managed this so far? I realize that for any project that's community driven, this would be a big problem.
Well, we've done a few it's been a long time since I say a long time, but in the crypto world, time moves so quick. But
a few days.
and so like in April, May, I think we did a couple community driven fundraisers because we were trying to get listed on Crypto Bridge. They were going to add ERC20 tokens, but that never they haven't implemented that part yet. And so we had these funds of some 0xBitcoin that were donated to the contract address. And so as far as those are kind of like community funds, I think Infernal Toast is working on something to where he's going to use a smart contract to where those tokens are going to be controlled by a different smart contract. That way they're not, because he wants to fully decentralize the project. Because right now I'm guessing, he has the keys to the smart contract, private keys. So he would, technically he has the control of those funds, but he wants to release that completely. And that's kind of where the 0xBitcoin Foundation kind of started to form. It was just a bunch of kind of like-minded bullish community members who thought it would be a good idea to make a foundation to where we could kind of drive some of these funds and these ideas and bounties and try to get more people to help out. And so I think that's kind of right now that's a big thing on the unofficial 0xBitcoin Foundation's radar is to try to get some of these better listings. To try to maybe, but like you said, it's very hard because we don't have a lot of community funds. We essentially have zero community funds, and like you said, I know there's been a few people pop into the Discord or have sent, even Infernal Toast has gotten emails, from a really big crypto blog that he actually released his communication with them that they just charge astronomical amounts, to get them listed and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for you to name it if you are. I'm happy for you to say it. Yeah, well, what Jeff is referring to was that he contacted the blog and they were saying well, why don't you do A, B, or C? And I can't remember if it was like he was asking them to do all these things, and basically they were trying to say
paid PR, basically.
Yeah, they were saying we'll guarantee we give you positive news, and you know, it just showed that the blog was just
all that fun stuff.
all that kind of thing.
$100,000 they will build your ICO. They'll do 100% of it for you for $100,000.
Yeah,
what they said.
And if you're sitting on having done a $30 million ICO, having tens of thousands of dollars ready to do an exchange listing is peanuts and is great economically. But if you just for, you know, actually it'd be interesting to look at how inexpensive it was to deploy the 0xBitcoin contract. I think if you click through enough on Etherscan, you can see the price. But for $1, let's say this contract was deployed, and so there isn't a basket of funds that, you know, had a marketing budget to go out there and help us raise funds with. It's slow and steady, and I think that's good and that's healthy and that's important, and that's why we're all thankful, Kevin, for you hosting us to chat about 0xBitcoin and give us this opportunity.
Well, I mean, I think blogs and YouTubers do have a responsibility to try and give good exposure to coins. I mean, it's one of those things. I do understand that a blog or an exchange or any kind of, you know, any cryptocurrency business, they do still need to make money. But there does seem to be a conflict of interest where, well, there doesn't even seem to be a conflict of interest. They always seem to put money first before anything else. And, you know, this is one of my criticisms of a lot of exchanges where they don't list good projects. They'll just list the projects that pay them 10 Bitcoin or 15 Bitcoin and all that. But this is, you know, in a perfect world that wouldn't happen, but this is the environment that you guys have to operate in, without being too doom and gloom here. But so you guys might not be facing security issues, but I'm sure you're going to have to work together, you know, to work on, you know, exchange listings and things like that. But I remember. No, sorry, Jeff.
Oh no, I was just gonna mention it's been said before. I think George said it before that. If I can, you know, if I was around in the early days of Bitcoin and you were in that kind of community, the atmosphere that was around it, I think that the thing that attracted me most about 0xBitcoin was the kind of atmosphere that's going on in there right now, and the things people are doing selflessly, and just everything's for the project and in the future. You know, no one's trying to ask for money or do anything of that nature. We're not, you know, everybody's not trying to get rich tomorrow type of thing. You know, I imagine that the atmosphere in 0xBitcoin's community would be similar to what it was in Bitcoin in the early days. You know. So that's another exciting thing too, you know. So, you know, if you if you have any marketing skills, if you have any graphic design skill, if you're a developer, any of those things, and you wanted to come into the community and say, hey, I want to start, you know, helping out, you were received like with open arms, you know.
Absolutely. And as far as, go ahead.
No, sorry, George.
I wanted to touch on funds, since it's kind of it can be a touchy subject with as many scams as there are, and we brought up the Bitcoin Foundation, or 0xBitcoin Foundation. That is a way we are using that as a vehicle for education and awareness in 918 tokens, these types of ERC20 tokens, 0xBitcoin, and it will be allowing people to donate with a little bit of confidence that there is oversight and some accountability with those funds. You're not just donating into a black hole and hoping for the best. We will be releasing financial reports, or they will be releasing financial reports, and it will be open. We are going to be set up legally as a 501c6, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Something like that. Yeah, it's hard to get the exact number.
Close enough. Close enough.
Yep. Yeah. No, but it requires accountability with donated funds, and it allows us to use them properly, where there will be board members voting on how funds will be spent. And you know, like we said earlier, we're a group of like-minded individuals, and if you are like-minded and you wish to donate, know that we're doing our best to uphold that.
from a technical point of view, I don't know if you guys are aware of this. I've spoke from with Jeff from SafeCoin, and he's talked about Ethereum and how this is something I hadn't noticed, but a lot of exchanges don't actually list Ethereum or Ethereum tokens. But he was talking about from a technical point of view, I think the Ethereum blockchain is like 1 terabyte or something. You'd maybe know more about this, Michaels. But is that something that certain exchanges holds them back from adding tokens, and this is why tokens are more popular on DEXs rather than, you know, popular centralized exchanges?
Yeah, so the Ethereum blockchain is big. My mining pool is using a full node. It's not so bad to set up. You do need, so I think the full, what do you call it? The full history could very well be 1 terabyte. Yeah. I'm running on a 250 gigabyte hard drive, I think with room to spare, and using the parity run client. So Rust language client, and it uses pruning. So what that just means is it only needs to store the most recent state of things. So if you and I trade back 1 ether a trillion times, it just needs to know who ended up with that 1 ether in that sense. So there's all this history, but there's just like what's happening now. So to actually set up and run a full node or a full-ish node on Ethereum using the parity client is pretty quick. You can set up a moderate-sized cloud server, and within a lunch break or so of, you know, setting it up, stepping outside, coming back, it'll sync up, and it uses some cool functionality called warp, W-A-R-P syncing. And really that just means it's kind of using like a BitTorrent style algorithm to just say, I need a really recent state, and I just want to get caught up, and I want to.
It's not going to download and, you know, data from 2 years ago or something like that. It's more recent.
Yeah. So it's quicker, and it's using different security promises within Ethereum to kind of get up to speed. So my experience with running a full network, a full node to essentially do a lot of what an exchange does on the mining pool. So I'm keeping track in a way of finances, in the sense that I'm keeping track of solutions or partial solutions that are sent to the token mining server. So, okay, you have a partial solution, and you have a partial solution, and then sending payouts. And all of that I'm doing, and you know, I'm doing it myself, essentially part-time. I have a separate full-time job. So I think that it's, you know, reasonable for a serious exchange to fully be able to support Ethereum. And I love to hear some more of the technical challenges that other exchanges are having. I wouldn't want to necessarily assume that they're not real and they're not there, but
yeah, I mean, I can certainly introduce you to him if you. Yeah, I'm sure he'd love to speak to someone that's got more experience with Ethereum.
Sure. And scaling challenges are real, and you know, they come up in surprising ways. But I'm pretty excited and find it fairly painless to set things up using Ethereum. And to, you know, handle payouts, and there are some differences between ERC20 tokens and actual Ether. There's a little bit that you can on one hand handle them in smart contracts slightly differently, but what's great is that once you're able to process one type of ERC20 token, it's immediate support for all types of ERC20 tokens.
Right.
Even the
so it's not
McAfee
like the next
BitFee wallet. Even the McAfee BitFee wallet just announced in all caps on their Twitter feed, all ERC20 tokens are supported, and then a tweet or two later, like, yes, all of them. So that's cool, is that it's a standard. So if you're supporting one, you're supporting them all, which is
that's pretty good. Yeah, and there's, I mean, how many tokens are there now? There is
A million?
If counting, I mean, counting the ones that are made, every 5 minutes, just because they're just. I mean, sometimes. Like, have you ever had an Ethereum address and then checked on Etherscan? Have you ever been like airdropped from some random thing? It's like 777 tokens or 7,000, whatever. Those are just people. I don't know what those are about, but those are all essentially someone's trying to use a scam or do something to that nature. That makes sense.
But there's a lot of tokens that are worth
free advertising,
thousands of dollars as well. There's a lot of very expensive tokens out there.
Yep. Yeah, and if you go to one of the dexes, IDEX is a great example, and scroll, there's a lot of them, and I think also CoinMarketCap has a way of clicking a button and saying just show me tokens, and I think there's thousand of them or so, and I think that'll. Yeah, go ahead, John.
I was gonna say, I think if you went to CoinMarketCap, I know I'm not sure which button you press to do that, but technically on CoinMarketCap, we are the only one on there currently that is mineable and a token. Like you won't find any other. You shouldn't find any other, at least not yet, because some of the smaller EIP 918 mineable tokens, they haven't been listed on CoinMarketCap because they don't have a high enough market cap to have been listed on there yet. But we are the only one both mineable and a token.
That's pretty good.
Which is pretty, yeah. Go ahead.
No. Well, I was going to just say, I mean, we kind of touched upon exchanges, and obviously, Mike was kind enough to explain how the coin works. What is the focus of the community over the next few months? Obviously, we're in a bear market. We were talking about this earlier, but it's kind of doom and gloom in the whole cryptocurrency world right now, with regards to price and all that kind of thing. But what is the focus of 0xBitcoin over the next 6 months?
Yeah,
sorry, I'll
hop on real quick, and I'll.
Sure.
So one is merge mining, and we talked about that a lot, and dual mining too is getting that more support for miners, and kind of the third thing, and this was back to I think your 3 questions, Kevin, which is, okay, I've mined 0xBitcoin and I'm doing it to my Trust wallet or True Wallet or whatever wallet you want to use for Ethereum, but you don't actually have any Ether. So what the heck do you do now? You've gotten these 0xBitcoin sent to your private public key address on Ethereum, but you don't have any gas to make it happen, right? And so that's weird. Really no other mineable crypto asset has that issue. If you're mining Bitcoin,
because
gold,
the gas comes off the coin value itself.
Yep. So when you transfer, it says I'm transferring 1, and the transaction is 0.001 or whatever. So Infernal Toast is kind of mostly leading this, and we'll prod and pressure him in peer pressure to have him come on your show and to chat about it further. But the idea of the Lava wallet is that it's a smart contract on Ethereum where you can actually have mining pools or websites or friends send you and initially pay Ethereum gas to get it locked into the wallet. But let's say, Kevin, you mine with 10 1080 Ti cards for 10 days, and now you have 100 0xBitcoin tokens. Part of the goal is maybe you can go into the pool and decide how you want to get paid out. And you can say, I want it paid out on the Lava wallet, with all these merge mine tokens, or I just want it sent to my exchange because I'm going to market sell it because that's the kind of miner that I am, which is totally fine. Or you want to send it to a hardware wallet. And so of those options, though, the Lava wallet is what we're working on. So it'll be the pool or whomever initially sends it to have it be locked in the Lava wallet. And then essentially using technology similar to the Lightning Network, which is a Bitcoin-centric technology, which is a series of off-chain transactions that can be synced on-chain. So they're as good as having the transaction happen on-chain. We're building that for 0xBitcoin so that you will have your 100 tokens sent to your account through the Lava wallet, and then let's say you want to go to the 0xBitcoin Foundation store and buy a T-shirt for 10 0xBitcoin or something. So you could actually send 10 0xBitcoin to the 0xBitcoin Foundation without using any gas. And you'd do that by signing a message that essentially just says like, I am sending you 10 0xBitcoin. You'd sign it with your private key. You'd submit it to a distributed system of people supporting the Lava network. And they'd say, great, this has happened. The 0xBitcoin store would see it and would ship your shirt away. And then there'd be different mechanisms for actually eventually committing the differences and balances to the smart contract on chain. So that's, from a tech perspective, those three things: the merge mining and making more individuals and more teams that are considering doing an ICO but maybe don't really need to do an ICO, having them consider merge mining. On the GPU mining side, and there's actually ASIC miners, and for all I know, there's someone somewhere working on it. Sorry, there's FPGA miners, field programmable gate array miners that are out there, and people keep telling me that, hey, my shipment arrived and I just set it up to mine on your pool, and I'm like, that's so freaking cool, and I want to ask them how to order one, but I'm a little embarrassed. I don't know, but I think somewhere also, for all we know, there are people working on building ASIC 0xBitcoin miners, and the dual mining, and then all this off-chain work that is, in a way, building upon the Lightning Network and the rated network, which is the Ethereum version of that, so that we can have our own just solutions for essentially transferring a token without paying gas fees in Ethereum. And the awesome part about that is that it would automatically support all ERC20 tokens.
Right. I think that would be a major selling point of the coin, because I think, I mean, it's not a major inconvenience, but telling someone new to cryptocurrency, no, you have to have 2 coins in your wallet to use this one. You know, it's, from a marketing point of view.
Essentially, from a marketing point of view, it's kind of like the holy grail, or one of them, of Ethereum, is to be able to send the tokens without having to pay the gas in Ether.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, you're paying the gas in 0xBitcoin essentially, and you know, and don't even, I mean, don't ask me the technicals of that. Like Micah said, hopefully we could peer pressure Infernal Toast to come on with you, even if even if you wanted to be anonymous. You know, that's kind of was the goal for us, kind of coming on here, to hopefully open that door so that you don't have to step around your policy. You know, so now that we,
well, I mean, that's what I was talking about with you. It's like, you don't want to be too fixed with a policy like that, because the whole purpose of saying I only want to speak to transparent projects is that you're trying to protect people from scams and pump and dump schemes and ICOs and things like that. But you still want to tell them about good projects, and that was the dilemma that I was facing. Yeah, it's interesting. I think that would be a very that would certainly be a, you know, once if people didn't have to pay the gas, it'd be a very easy sell. But I also think from a mining point of view, miners are, well, I think all miners are, you know, by the nature of it, you have to be greedy. You're going to mine the coin that's the most profitable, or you think it's going to be the most profitable. And if you guys can implement dual mining or merge mining or both, it could be a very, you know, it's a very easy sell, you know, to say, why don't you check out 0xBitcoin? Because people are going to get essentially free tokens or free coins. So it's going to be very interesting to see how
it's unbelievable the amount of investments that people have put into their mining operations, and I've toured a few, and it's just so cool, and definitely have a lot of respect for people that really are taking a lot of capital risks to
huge amount, especially in this environment.
You know, and for sure, yeah, it's serious business for sure.
How would, I mean, right now I assume it's mostly GPU miners in your community, but do you think ASIC mining would affect your community in any negative way, or would it be a positive thing if ASIC miners come on? Is that something you guys have discussed?
Personally, as a GPU miner myself, it would be I would be a little disappointed. But if it happens, it happens. The contract is out there, and if someone wants to put in the development, ASIC mining, the development for it, it's not cheap. It would be a huge risk for someone to go forward with it. I think eventually it's going to happen. Up until 6 months ago, ASIC mining on Ethereum was going to be impossible because of the price of memory. But here we are. Now they aren't the same as a Bitcoin miner as far as hash rate per watt, but I think that if this token does take off, when it does take off, there will be ASIC miners. I think it's inevitable.
Well, there's already 8 hash ASIC miners out there. I think at the moment the 8 hash ASIC miners, they don't really have a huge advantage over GPUs, but again, that could be something that changes.
Absolutely.
But it's difficult because this is something that's come up time and time again. It's maybe a little bit of a cliche question, but it is relevant, I think. And it's interesting because I do think there are positive reasons to having an ASIC miner on the network as far as security and hash rate and all that. But if your community is built from your community has GPU miners, you're going to piss off a lot of people if you embrace ASIC miners. So it's quite hard to try and keep everyone happy.
Absolutely, yeah. And the goal with our mining, with our HashPower is distribution, fair distribution only. So I mean, a startup of ASIC miners could jeopardize that wide distribution a little bit, but the economics of it would eventually balance out between what the ASIC miners sell for to recoup their money they put in, and it would put us kind of right where we are with Bitcoin. It worked out in the end.
My first initial thought is just if I'd be impressed, and I'm really impressed with the FPGA miners that those have popped up. And as far as it goes, it's a lot to kind of think about and consider, but that's kind of the idea behind it being fair in a sense, is that anyone can do that work to hash and find valid solutions, and fair, I guess, has its ups and its downs in that sense, is that if someone can come up with a much more efficient way of producing these solutions, that changes things.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it was a dedicated one just for 0xBitcoin, it's perhaps different than, I don't know. There's so many factors to consider when you're talking about ASIC miners. Some of them are more effective than others. In the Equihash world this year, that was a game changer where you had several coins fork within a month or two because it was so significant. There's been a huge number of comments here, which I think would be good to go through. But before we jump over to the comments, is there, any other things you guys want to talk about that I've probably not brought up yet? Just in case I've missed out anything significant.
I'm sure I thought of a few, but I can't think of it, right now.
Yeah, something we were briefly throwing around would be actually using and this would be kind of a different thing than 0xBitcoin, and it could be that 0xBitcoin 2 type of project we were talking about, but just figuring out ways to use essentially the Ethereum blockchain to do mining, so that, like you mentioned, there's the 250 gigabytes of data on the blockchain, and kind of using that in some way as like a different type of token mining. So there'd be the 0xBitcoin ecosystem, and this would be separate, but some kind of way of using smart contracts to do mining in a different way. And that's something we're kind of also playing around with. But
right. It seems like you guys have been floating a lot of different ideas as to what you implement, what direction you go down. Seems quite flexible as well as far as the smart contracts go.
Yeah. I think what's cool about 0xBitcoin is that it's there and it's just really an open community. And what brought me to it was really just I'm a software developer and I was interested in learning about Ethereum, and I was browsing Reddit and I saw a mineable token on Ethereum, and I was like, well, that's cool. And within a few hours, I had read the smart contract and downloaded the miner and saw the miner and thought, this is cool, jumped on the Discord and had some fun technical discussion. So that's kind of the idea.
Yeah, we could have a whole nother session just like this on the early history. We had some pretty cool, pretty neat wins early on between gas wars, pool wars, developing the pools, the GPU miner development. I was there fortunately to see all that in the beginning, and it was really neat to watch it all unfold.
Well, how old is 0xBitcoin now? 0x.
That's about 50 cents. 50 cents around.
How long has it been up?
Oh, sorry. How long?
How long has it been
sorry, I thought you said how low. Sorry.
All right. Is it 3 months or 4 months?
It's it was 4 months the last time I checked. So last time I thought of it. So maybe it's 5 months. I don't know. We could.
It was. I think it was deployed in February or March. I'd have to check Etherscan.
Right.
Yeah, February or March. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you Mike talking about how you got introduced to it, because I think you said that earlier when I did my video about 0xBitcoin. It was actually your pool that I used as an example. I didn't know it was yourself that ran it. No, that's good. So it'd be good. I don't know if anyone who's watching just now, it'd be good to get some questions. I know there's been some questions coming already. I think Jeff has been replying to some of them.
I saw one question earlier on that it asked if it was profitable on a normal home miner earlier. I think it was Abdul that asked. Right now, it is not the most profitable coin to mine, as people always set the standard on whattomine.com because it's pretty widely used to determine what is. People use that as a bar to say what is or is not profitable, and if it's not the most profitable, it's not profitable. I pay about 13 cents, 14 cents a kilowatt hour in US dollars, and I am not mining at a detriment. So it's not the most wildly profitable, but I'm also not losing money, paying more money in electricity than I am to pull out the 0xBitcoin. But I am definitely holding on for the future.
But that's interesting you said that, because that's something that's been in the news over the last week or two, is that Ethereum, which has traditionally been one of the most profitable coins to mine, a lot of people have been deactivating their rigs because the cost of electricity wasn't covering the cost of the money they were bringing in. It wasn't really covering. I think that's less of a 0xBitcoin issue though, or less. It's more of just a crypto issue right now, where a lot of people's rigs just aren't profitable. But it's interesting what you're saying, because if you're mining just now and you're not making a huge amount of money, without being too cheesy, it almost frees you, because before you're always mining looking for the most profitable coin, but if you can just cover your electricity, you can just mine the coin that you want to keep.
I sent you the links I sent for the 0xBitcoin Discord link, Micro's pool link, and then the Reddit for 0xBitcoin, and I also added the Reddit for r/token mining, and that would be another good place for anyone who wants to learn more about the EIP 918 mineable token standard.
So I'll post that just now. In fact, I'll add it to the description of the video as well for anyone.
Cool.
Yeah, this is the thing, when there's a lot of people talking, you end up ignoring everyone who's watching the stream. That's all good. Right, so I'll go over and try and see what some of the questions are. I know you've been replying to some of them, Jeff.
I was just trying to get the links, and I've been replying to a few, but It's I'm using my laptop right now, and for my laptop's really slow, so it's like snails along.
Mining too much.
Why mining is not getting richer?
And there's other pools other than Micros isn't the only pool right now. It's the one finding the most blocks, but token mining pool, that's Infernal Toasts has that pool, and his pool is also he's working on it has some other things kind of that Micros pool doesn't necessarily have right now, like for the Lava wallet, you can become the real it's called a king of the hill, and so you can kind of become the king, and essentially you become the one who relays the lava packets, which allow you to send the tokens without having to pay the gas. And I won't talk anymore about it because I don't want to say something wrong about it, but his pool right now, if you wanted to become the king of the relayer for the lava, you would have to mine on his pool for that. And also there's a bounty in that one contract, which I don't think has been claimed yet, that if you become the king 2 times in a row, you receive 50 0xBitcoin. So there's things like that.
So it's like a bounty type of a bounty for it.
Yeah, it's in the contract. It's for like a reward. He just put it as an incentive for people to mine on his pool.
Right.
There's one other one that we didn't want to leave out is Toasty.ro is also another pool. So we're excited to have as many as we can, and although we don't have to worry
anyone
about
who is setting up a pool, join the 0xBitcoin Discord, and I think the pools channel is pretty good, or join my pool, host the Discord, and message me, and I'm happy to put in unreasonable amount of effort into helping anyone set up a pool that would like to. It is a bit complicated and a bit challenging from a server operations hosting perspective. So if you have app hosting experience, the better. But we're happy to help the community grow and be supportive. And yeah, also check out Token Mining Pool. And what's really cool there is he hosts on his own or with us or whatever, has created additional functionality that is somewhat similar to merge mining in the sense that smart contracts are Turing complete programmable languages. So essentially what you can do is create a contract called a mint helper. And so once the pool finds a full solution, it sends it to the smart contract that ultimately calls mint on the 0xBitcoin contract, but also can kind of do things like merge mining, or very similar to merge mining is king of the hill. So it just calls into a function that knows that a mint for 0xBitcoin is about to be called, and can do different things like set a leader or call and create someone who's the king of the hill. And the king of the hill functionality there is pretty cool. So it's working with the Lava network, and the Lava network, Toast kind of realized, has this problem where if you transfer 10 0xBitcoin tokens to me and say that you're creating a fee of 0.001 0xBitcoin to whomever commits this to the main chain, to the actual Ethereum network, you're going to have Jeff and George both competing to get that fee. And then potentially you're going to have 50 people competing to get that fee. And you're going to have one of those commits join the blockchain and then 49 revert. And so for an ecosystem, that's just not healthy to have 49 people paying gas and losing that gas because that reverts, because you can only commit this exchange once. So how Toast is working around that is each time his pool mints a block, and down the line, I fully intend to also support King of the Hill mining in my pool, and I'm confident or hopeful that Toast will support merge mining in his pool, and it's all an open standard, anyone can do it. Is that each new block that's found crowns a new king, and while you're king, you're able to get the fees for making those 0xBitcoin or any ERC20 transactions that are paid out in that token. So it's a way of solving this problem of having too many people fighting to compete, and also further incentivize miners, which is kind of a recurring theme for 0xBitcoin. So that's really worth saying as well. And I think we're making pretty good progress on the Lava wallet. I've tested it a bit, and it's cool. I'm super into it, but mostly the development is run by Infernal Toast.
It's interesting what you're saying though, because I like that you guys are trying to tweak the way that the block rewards and all that are given out to miners, and you're right, as a mineable coin you do have to put miners first. Well, has to be, at least in your concerns when you're developing your pools and all that. Some more questions here. Are there any exchange listings coming up? Also, when is the 0xBitcoin Foundation website live?
Those are good questions.
As far as exchange,
well, yeah. As far as exchange listings, I don't think that we have any that that are currently in the works. I mean, we're always trying to find more.
We do have a couple of quotes from some exchanges, but they are outside of our reach as far as what they would like in return for in Bitcoin. So we're working with them. Most of them have seemed enthusiastic about our project, or about the project. I shouldn't say our, about 0xBitcoin in general. So hopefully we can start to raise some community funds here in the future and get listed on some larger exchanges. So I'm not gonna put out their business on here like that without permission. But yeah, there were a couple that were interested. We just honestly don't have the funds to support it right now.
And also too, we're not, as far as the website and stuff, some of these things are just kind of coming along. But what you have to understand is, if anybody wants to be involved and help out with that, you're more than welcome. I know we have a GitHub for the 0xBitcoin Foundation website, and you're more than willing to contribute and help out and get that up and running as soon as possible. Because, like Micah said, most of us here, we all have day jobs and whatnot, and so we're not. This is all just in our spare time, So it's not. This is not a project that we're getting paid for. That we're, the only incentive value we have to work and put time into this, no matter what your skill set is for the future of 0xBitcoin, and if you hold any.
Yeah, I know that that may sound bad at first, but you have to remember for most other tokens or projects, hearing something like that can be extremely disappointing. This isn't my main focus. The good news is with 0xBitcoin is the contract, 0xBitcoin is done. There can be no more development towards it, and it will work as it is. And that's, something kind of rare to find in a token project. It's to be used as a currency. So any development we have will be around it. It in itself is functional, and it's done. It works.
And that's in contrast to a lot of ICOs that have raised lots and lots of cash and have yet to create the product, right? So, in fact, I think this is an amazing thing and a great thing, is that the contract and all the technology around 0xBitcoin was live really before there was any marketing around it. Before, I think, before there was a Twitter feed, the smart contract was actually fully done and launched and deployed, and all the code was open source, and the miner was launched. So instead of saying, we want to create a mineable token and we're raising up to 50, we have a soft cap of $50 million. It was just launched, and in that spirit, 0x Litecoin is a mineable token. I think I started sending payouts in my pool before I even really launched a website that it fully explains what it does. And I think I'm a little overdue to improve that website. oxltc.org to make it clearer and make it better understanding of what it is. And so it's kind of a lot of what we're doing is inverted. We're working part-time, we're building a community, and a lot of the technology is done, and we're building on it and expanding on it, but it's been delivered and it's been live on the Ethereum mainnet for 4 months, and has a lot of activity. Unfortunately, there's a little less, like I was talking to DApp Radar about my mining pool, and so I submitted my mining pool as a decentralized app on Ethereum, because there's hundreds of miners actively mining and getting payouts. And so I was excited to see that it went live, and I went to see number of users. And so the way that they calculate the number of users is that there's one. And so it's calculated as my mining pool is the one user of my mining pool. And so I sent them a bunch of messages and saying, hey, here's a transaction where I paid out 100 people at a time. It'd be cool if you could count those 100 people as users of my smart contract. And then actually subsequently, I saw someone, I think from ZRX, the OX protocol token, and they were saying things like, you're undercounting the number of users, and for the exact same reason. And so, down the line, they may be working on that. The DApp Radar team, they seem nice. They seem like they're working really hard. So nothing personal against them at all. But that would be cool to kind of see more activity there. When 0xBitcoin was a bit newer, and maybe they were calculating things differently, or there was less competition, but we were pretty consistently a top 10 DApp on DApp Radar. So there's a lot of stuff happening that I think as a team we're working on communicating better about what's happening, and going on interviews and shows like this is, I think, something we'll be ramping up a lot, and we're definitely enjoying now. And thanks again for hosting us.
No need to thank me at all. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I know a lot of developers don't need, they don't want to do marketing or do interviews. It can be time consuming, but it's kind of part of the game, isn't it? You have to do it. There was a good question there, just when you're talking about your miner. Someone was saying, where is it? Someone asked, Eric Cartman, actually, so it's not his real name. Hi guys, when will the normal miner be for multi GPUs will be developed? When will that be developed?
So about a month ago it was released, I think.
Oh, right, was it? Right, okay.
Yeah, so there's...
Oh, sorry, Thomas has actually replied to that. I believe the Cosmic Miner will soon be releasing with that functionality.
Well, there's a couple of good ones. One of them, the Solidity SHA-3 miner, created by Manos. You can go to his GitHub, and if you go to Miker's pool, if you go to mike.rs, on his front page right there, it shows he has all the links to all the latest miners. And I would say, and then also too, Lieutenant Tofu is his username in the Discord. He has developed the Cosmic Miner, and his is a great GUI miner for if you're he'll soon he's getting ready to release multiple GPUs for the GUI, but right now currently if you have one card that you if you have a gaming rig and you want to mine it really easily, his miner allows you to do that very easily.
Yeah. So, and I want to speak a little bit more to the Cosmic Miner developed by Lieutenant Tofu. Early on, a single instance of the miner, or you could possibly run up to 3 instances of the miner for 3 cards on a 7-card rig, and it would eat up your CPU usage up to 100% in the early days. Now, running on a G4400, I can run 7 cards on a single rig with 1 instance per card, and I might be hitting 10% GPU or CPU usage. So the efficiency on the CPU side, he has offloaded a whole lot of the task. So mining multiple GPUs, he has made easy with a single instance per card. but I know that he is finishing up a multi-GPU miner for NVIDIA. The other ones right now, as far as I know, are just for AMD cards.
Right.
No, so the Solidity SHA-3 miner by Nano 7, and there's a link on my mining pool.
Yeah,
my
I can see that on your, I can see that on your website.
SHA-3. Great. Yeah, if you could kind of tag that, that's really kind of one click and you go. There's a batch file in there, and so all you have to do is update your Ethereum address in the batch file and click and go, and it detects your GPUs. So I have a 1080 Ti and a 1070 and an AMD card, and it'll detect all three. And
your Intel as well.
Yeah.
It'll detect your the GPU that came with your computer.
So these miners can be uploaded to, say, Hive OS or SMOS or Awesome Miner. Can these be used through a GUI or through a mining solution like that, like any kind of mining platform?
Yeah. So there's another it's like a meta miner, or it's a multi miner called all-in-one miner. Yep. I think aiominer.com.
Yeah, this was the one you were talking about.
Yeah.
AIO.
And so that that actually has a Nano 7 miner built into it, as well as an Ethereum miner and a whole bunch of other miners. And so you can download that. It has a GUI and click through it. They have a Discord that they can talk you through how to use it. They're also pretty active on the GPU mining Reddit. Right. And so that another recommended miner that if you have a bunch of GPUs, it's a GUI and it'll auto detect and mine for you.
That's quite good. Yeah. Did you guys start off as CPU first, or was it GPUs from the start? I think it was GPUs.
No. Yeah. So initially, Infernal Toast, as part of his kind of initial public release, released a Node.js based CPU miner. Right. And then people were mining with that initially, and then I forget the dev's name, but he released a C++ multi-core CPU miner. Right. And then all of a sudden there was this character, Pizza, Pizza, with like capital P, lowercase I, capital Z. Right. And he released his own, so far closed source. I've gently asked him time to time to release it as open source, just for kind of community knowledge. But he released a closed source GPU miner, and actually released his own, or hosted his own mining pool for that. And then it was kind of a cool time because myself and Toast and a few other open source miners, Lieutenant Tofu, Azleria, other shout out to all the team, we together released our own GPU miner for 0xBitcoin because we kind of were prompted by this other person releasing a closed source miner.
Yeah. And so you guys had to catch up and release a GPU miner yourself.
Yeah, and it was pretty fun to do that. Initially, I think I extended Toast's CPU miner and Node to include CUDA GPU code. And actually, around the same time, MVI released his own OpenCL, sorry, not NVIDIA, but AMD miner.
Yeah, I can see that listed on your pool as well.
Yep, yep.
MVI miner.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of just like at first we released it and it was half the speed of Pizza's closed source miner, but we were excited because it was open source and we knew that we could make it faster over time. And eventually we just kept improving it. Azleria did a lot of that initial optimizations, initially took mine and made it 10-20% faster. And since then, him, Tofu, Amanu have been tweaking it and improving it. So it's been this cool kind of community run experience, and now all in one miner included it and theirs, so it's all kind of,
yeah. I mean, there's definitely a lot of different options for miners now.
Yeah,
it looks like it's been growing over the last few months.
And there's even been I haven't gone in as in depth as I could or as I have, but there's been an FPGA miner that's released and that people are buying. I think it's VCU1525 cards, and those are FPGA programmable miners, and people are actually mining on my pool using those. So it's all the way down to FPGA.
Do you know what the benefit is on that? You know what the kind of returns they're getting on an FPGA? Is it a lot higher than a GPU?
So I've seen 10 to 15 giga hashes per second. Right. And so for context, 1080 Ti is like 1.4, 1.5 giga hashes per second. And I think cost-wise, it's decent for actually the hardware itself relative to like
FPGAs can be $3,000, can't they?
Yeah, but kind of compared to 1080 Ti's, it's less expensive. And then also the wattage per hash is pretty good too, relative.
Well, it's interesting because we're talking about ASIC miners, but FPGAs could be more popular than ASICs. That's quite impressive to get a 10 times return.
Yeah, it's interesting because you're not locked into a particular coin or a particular algorithm. I think there's a pretty good shortage. I'm not and I'm not even sure how to buy one, to be totally honest. I think you can contact the manufacturer, but I haven't tried that just yet.
Yeah, it's not something I've looked into yet myself. I know it's a big discussion point in Bitcoin talk right now. We'll just see some more questions here. Eric Cartman was talking again. I've mined 0xBitcoin along with 1080 Ti's. The power consumption is changing, not so much with core overclocking as on other known core greedy algos, and in this way I have such idea. I'm not sure what he means.
Yeah, I think I understand. So the overclocking,
does it require memory, or can you underclock it?
Yeah, so the overclocking settings, and actually, George, do you want to hop in on the overclocking?
Yeah, absolutely.
Settings?
Yeah, no, it's extremely core intensive. So it uses the core of the GPU more than the memory. My settings on my 1080 Ti's, the memory using Afterburner, which is what I used in the beginning. Now I've moved over to NVIDIA Inspector.
I need to try that myself.
Just a real simple settings, 75% power. I overclock my core kind of conservatively, somewhere around 150 to 200 up on the core, depending on the brand of the card. The memory all the way down, minus 404 on Afterburner. And then set a more aggressive fan curve, depending on how the room is doing as far as temperature. And let it run. But no, almost zero memory. I don't see any fluctuation or any gains.
So it's kind of the opposite of Ethereum, ironically.
The exact opposite.
It's all memory.
And that's why we're hoping to open up to dual mining Ethereum and 0xBitcoin at the same time, because the memory in the card is not being used.
Yep. So if you push the memory on, you could do some more calculations using memory.
Possibly if we got to dual mining, but you push memory all the way down, it just saves a little bit on the power. Is all it's doing.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Because as a miner, obviously tweaking your GPUs is a big part.
Huge part of it.
Yeah. You turn, like anybody familiar with Afterburner, you just turn the memory. I turn mine all the way down, like the lowest that goes like minus 502.
Yeah.
And then I have 6 1050 Ti's and 1 970, and I have the memory turned down all the way, and then I have plus 225 on the core clock. That's when I'm, and then I have depending on the power limit, if it's too hot, I'll turn my power limit down. But if it's cold, then I turn my power limit as high as possible. Because I notice when I do have 100% power limit, I'm getting a better, for me anyway, I'm getting a better hash rate. But it all depends on what you tweak it. But if you do turn, like you said, it's George said, it's about just being more efficient in the power you use. I don't use a lot of power. Mine's a 1050 Ti rig. And I think they use, those cards might use 40 watts a piece, if that. And it's just not that much. So
yeah, it's definitely got a 1080 Ti doing 250 watts or something. Yeah. Kev,
it's something else for you to look into in the future, maybe for a future video, is using NVIDIA Inspector to actually undervolt
I've actually got that there. I've got someone. Okay. I don't know. It might have even. It wasn't Jeff, was it? Someone messaged me and says you need to check this out. You need to do a video. I've still not looked at it though. I'm still using MSI. I think someone reported that they were getting, was it 5% or 10% more, or the GPUs or something like that.
I've saved roughly around 15% or so on the power usage. I didn't get any more hashes out, but I definitely saved on some power supply wear and tear and the electric bill.
Right, I need to, I need to do this as a priority then.
And also, Kevin, I sent you in the Discord. I sent you one more link to the stats page, and so that's another good resource. Maybe you can post that on there too. And that's a good place to look up the blocks that have been created, and then also it gives you all the information of how many blocks we have left into the next readjustment. And it takes an average of the last 124 blocks and kind of gives you an average, and it kind of averages out, and it'll tell you how what the difficulty will drop to or raise to at the end of the 124 blocks.
Well, that's
it's a lot like.
That's what Kevin Harper was saying there. He says the difficulty will drop in the next 1.5 months.
Yeah, it says 1.6 months, I think, and 697 more blocks. It's a lot. It's almost exactly like Bitcoin. It's a lot like Bitcoin. The way the difficulty raises and lowers.
Yeah, we readjust twice as often as Bitcoin, but that again is a moving target. We start getting more hash rate in the pool, then that readjustment will happen quicker, and it won't be as extreme.
All right. Okay, that's good. Well, I'll leave it. I'll post lots of links underneath the video when it goes live on YouTube. Well, thanks for coming on today, guys. It's been awesome. It's been great finding out more about 0xBitcoin, what you guys have been up to the last few months. Thanks to everyone who's been watching as well. I'd love to get you guys back on in the future, maybe in a month or so, or a couple of months. We'll see what how progress has been over the. I know you guys have got a lot on your plate. I know you guys are working on a lot of things, so it'll be good to get you back and then see how things have progressed.
Yeah, Kevin, thank you so much for having us.
Anytime, for sure. We really
That's
appreciate
great.
It.
Right, no,
thanks
no problem, guys.
Thanks for having us, man.
No problem at all. And if you guys have, if you do launch the merge mining feature and all that, I know that's something my viewers would like to know about. So definitely let me know. I'll do a video about that, because
great.
As I said,
thanks, and merge mining is live. It's 0x Bitcoin, 0x Litecoin, 0x Gold, and more coming down the line. I think there's a working version of the Lava wallet that's on the mainnet. I think we're just kind of testing it a bit more to really scale it out. I think a big next thing will be Infernal Toast adding Lava wallet based payouts to his mining pool, and then things like dual mining. I think Amano is looking into, but if anyone is a badass GPU dev and wants to show us how it's done, we're open to learning. And one kind of small project I almost forgot about, our last chat reminding about it, was we're actually trying to build a WebGL based browser based GPU miner using the WebGL texture standard to actually do GPU mining, something that it's a bit difficult coding wise to work through, but that's something that just kind of opens up more of the possibilities.
Would that be a CPU or a GPU based miner? Or could it access both?
Yeah, it would be a GPU based miner, and like in Google Chrome, there's all sorts of really cool JavaScript APIs for doing work on the GPU. And so the idea would be that you'd go to like browser-based 0xBitcoinmining.com, and that browser would tell you that you're mining 0xBitcoin, and it would connect you to a pool, and you could do merge mining through it. And kind of part of that vision there is a kind of a longer-term vision for 0xBitcoin to have as part of the merge mining ecosystem both tokens but also game items. So the idea would be you could create kind of an Ethereum-based Minecraft type of game and use your GPU to mine different items, different axes, different types of blocks and unlock it, or different types of CryptoKitties. So that's kind of part of some of the stuff we're kicking around. And
I think
yeah, I'd love to keep you updated on.
Yeah, definitely. That's something I'd be interested to know about, because I think that's something that's going to bridge the gap between. Well, I think most people watching today are, involved in cryptocurrency as either as a miner or an investor, but that's the kind of thing that can bridge the gap and bring over a lot of people that, perhaps they aren't too technical, or perhaps they aren't involved in cryptocurrency. Just clicking on your browser, and just opening a URL and then getting paid. That's, how everyone would look at it, especially when, if someone's parents are paying the electricity bill. But yeah, I think these kind of things, they don't seem like big features to the project, but they can be quite significant, I think. When it comes to mass adoption and all that, these kind of things could be huge as far as simplifying the process of mining. We've been talking about all these different miners, all-in-one miner, all these different applications, but a lot of people, if you could just tell them to type in a URL, maybe they could do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And they might have a gaming card in their PC anyway.
Yeah, for sure. And things like the ETH game World of Goo, I thought was really cool, where it's like have you seen that, Kevin? It's like you
I don't think so, no.
set it up, and it's like over time you're building goo, and then you can have like different there's a term for the type of game that it is, but just that got me thinking, oh, it'd be cool to have like a game where you're mining game items, or there's like crypto fighters where you get different monsters and you level them up and you fight them against other people. But just because OXBitcoin is essentially programmable mining, there's lots of different ways of making those types of fun games interact with the OXBitcoin contract that we've kind of been putting feelers out and building towards proof of concepts for. But yeah, down the line, watch out for that. Or someone may kind of step in and want to build that. I think there's been a few people in and out of the Discords working on their own versions of that. So kind of exciting thing to know that would be compatible with OXBitcoin.
Would that be in the background of a game going on, with the mining would happen at the same time as the game being powered? Is that, or was there something?
I think it could be something like let your character sleep overnight while you mine OXBitcoin, and in the morning he's leveled up.
Right, okay.
Something like that, or I'm sure. I'd love for it's all community driven. So if someone gets a creative idea for it, but that would be the idea, is making as you're mining on any mining pool, seeing, okay, I got 5 OXBitcoin, I got 15 OX Litecoin, 7 OX Diamond, and these cool like game items. What's this game? I want to find out about it. I want to play it. I want to know how I use these power gloves that I got.
Yeah.
So that can kind of be all part of it. So ERC 721 mineable game items is kind of something that'll happen eventually, I'm sure.
It opens up a lot of possibilities that we haven't even discussed today. And it's just
great talking and brainstorming and remembering what we kind of were brainstorming a few weeks ago. So
that's awesome.
Thanks for this opportunity.
No, any time, guys. So many thanks to everyone who was watching today and commented, and many thanks to Jeff, Mike, and George. As I said, guys, welcome back anytime. Be great to have you on. Best of luck with the work that you guys are doing in the community. It's going to be interesting to touch base with you guys in a few months, and we'll see how the project has progressed. So thanks again, and thanks to everyone who's been watching. So any last words? I'll put you under pressure.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Much.
Anytime, guys. So I'll leave, for everyone who's been watching, I'm going to end the stream just now, but I'm going to leave lots of links below. And Jeff can check the links afterwards, and I can add some more links to it. So links to pools, links to the website, and links for you guys to get started. So many thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll speak to you all soon. Take care.